Hey friends, this is Carrie and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. Today we have a variety of stories out of some different subreddits. Let's begin. Our first post is by CharGamerYT. Parking spot causes divorce. Okay, so this isn't a story about me, this is about my neighbor. This is exactly how he told me this story, and I witnessed portions of it for myself. Backstory. My neighbor, who we will call David, not his real name, and my other neighbors, who we will call Karen, not her real name, often go into arguments about who owns what part of the property. They live right next to each other, so this is understandable. Karen was known for being a Karen, so this explains a lot. Karen, who got enraged at her boyfriend, who we will call Kyle, not his real name, who went over to her house a lot, like every other day, and would spend the night there. We saw his car parked there a lot. Kyle would park his car in front of David's lawn because Karen is part of a large family, so they have many cars. There's not any room in the driveway. David got a new camper recently. One of those massive ones that are practically buses. They needed a place to park it because they didn't feel comfortable leaving it in a public place, but Kyle's car was there. Around the same time, news was spreading around my neighborhood that Kyle and Karen had gotten married. Kyle moved in with Karen and started using the front of David's lawn as his assigned parking spot. He was told that it was a part of her property because Karen was an idiot and didn't understand that property lines exist. Eventually, David got tired of Kyle parking on his property and wanted to park his camper there. He had to park it down the road in a public camper lot, or whatever they're called. He began plotting his revenge. His plan was to park the camper in front of Kyle's car so that he would have to pull it out backwards. This way, he would have to struggle to get his car out between one of Karen's siblings' cars and the camper. When this plan happened, Kyle came running up to David's door and began shouting the usual, "I'm calling the cops," and whatnot. And when David didn't answer, he tried to inch his way out. He ended up bumping into the car behind him and putting a good-sized dent in it. He instantly ran up to Karen's sibling and began apologizing and blaming it on David. Now Karen's entire family was mad at David. David said he saw through the window and was laughing hysterically. Karen actually managed to think logically for once and blamed it on Kyle, but it was okay and insurance will cover it or something like that. Kyle began going off on Karen about how the insurance would charge him for the damage, so they ended up fighting about the insurance. The whole thing unraveled outside David's house, so he listened in through the open window. They then came up to his house. David answered the door, and all of them but Karen instantly started going off about how he caused a dent in Karen's sibling's car. He said that Kyle's car was parked on his property and that he needed to park his camper there. He dug out the property line drawing and showed them all. Karen was mad. Karen said that he had drawn those lines himself and that the actual lines were farther to the left, giving her more property and expanding past where Kyle parked his car. Keep in mind that Kyle was parked by the window of David's house, clearly on David's property. At this point, I could hear yelling from a few houses down and walked over to listen for some sweet internet karma. Karen ended up calling the cops because David was disturbing the entire neighborhood. 2 cops showed up in a car and instantly sided with David after reviewing the property line. Karen was fined over $700 for misusing 911. Kyle ended up having to pay $900 for the damage done to the other car. Apparently he broke part of the engine. That's not all. Karen and Kyle ended up divorcing because Karen lied to him and said that he was on her property. Karen saying that it was her house and she could lie if she wanted. Too long didn't read. Bickering over a parking spot made entitled married couple pay over $1,500 in fines and damages. The couple also divorced over this and a few other things with property issues. Edit. I live in a private road on a small lake. I see y'all in the comments saying David isn't the owner of the road, but he does to a certain extent. Also, I think it was the radiator or the gearbox that was damaged when Kyle apparently slammed on the gas in reverse out of rage. Kyle and Karen sound like a real treat to have as neighbors. I'm sorry, OP, that you and your neighbor had to go through this, but yeah, if I was your neighbor, I would have just called a tow truck and just been done with it. Put a fence up, that's that. And anytime they come and walk on my property, just call the police. Just deal with it that way. Make the police deal with them. Anyway, on to the next story. Our next story is posted by This One Knows Things. Pay for my non-existent car damage. Hey all, it's been a while since I posted an EP story, but today I recalled another story while I was talking to my roommate about car accidents. Her friend got in one. That's why we were talking about it. Context: the town I grew up in was pretty affluent, so there was a ton of entitled jerks. I was at the shopping center getting groceries. The parking lot was pretty packed because it was around Thanksgiving, I think. I had to put the groceries in my car. I got in and began backing out. While backing out of my spot, apparently, another woman was backing out of her spot directly behind me. Since we were both backing out at the same time, I didn't notice that it was the cars getting closer to me and not vice versa. I think she must have thought so too. And boink, the back of my car bumps into the back of her car. She starts honking, so I shift to forward to go back into my spot, park, and get out of my car to see what happened. Cue the Karen. Large, pot belly, wearing a shirt that's too small, messy, badly dyed blonde hair, those pointy librarian-type glasses, probably late 40s. She wastes no time and starts screaming like no tomorrow. You stupid jerk! What the heck is wrong with you? I was backing out first! Look what you did to my car! Also, I don't know cars. Mine was a silver Hyundai Elantra 2006, I think. I don't know what hers was, but it was one of those older cars with the long nose like this, but rusty and yellow. While she keeps screaming nonsense, I took a look at my car and hers. No damage, no scratches, not even a paint exchange. All in all, pretty lucky. Calm down, I don't see any damage to either one of our cars. You go ahead and back out and I'll wait. But she's not satisfied. I think she deluded herself into thinking I damaged her car. No, you messed up my car, and now you better pay me. I look at her like she's an idiot. Lady, there's no damage. We didn't even swap paint. It's fine. Just go back out and I'll wait. Look at what you did to my car. You better pay me right now or I'll have the cops arrest you. By now, two guys in their mid-20s come by. She's been screaming so much, she's attracted attention of other onlookers. Hey, calm down, lady, says one of them. I saw what happened. You started backing out after she was. I don't care who was first, the Karen continues, maintaining this volume the whole time. This stupid woman rear-ended me and won't give me money to fix my car. She started looking around, screaming, as if to get onlookers on her side. There's no damage, you crazy lady, I said, getting angry because I want to leave and there's ice cream in my car. Yes, there is. See? She points to her bumper that's totally fine. Are you blind? Lady, there's no damage, says the second guy. Now one of you just go and back out and we'll make sure the other waits. Well, if she's just gonna stand here, then I'm going, I said, turning around and heading to my car. You're not going anywhere, the Karen says, coming after me. You pay me right now or I'm calling the cops. Call the cops, you dumb lady, I say, not turning around. I unlock my car and get in when Karen throws a tantrum and starts pounding and kicking my car. I get out and the two guys start trying to get her to stop without touching her, because they figured she'd say they assaulted her or something. I've lost it. Get off my car or I'll run you over. No, she starts ugly crying. I'm not moving until you pay for this. I think the parking gods were on my side because the car in front of mine had just pulled out, so I could drive through the spot and get out rather than back out. The two guys noticed this too, so they tried to draw her attention while I rushed back into my car and start the engine and drive off like someone's chasing me. I heard her screeching in the distance as I sped off. I feel bad for not thanking those guys, but if I stopped, I'm sure Karen would have rushed my car and claimed I hit her. Cops never came to my door either. She would have had plenty of time to memorize my plates. I think she knew. I think the Karen knew that there was nothing wrong with her car. I think she was just getting angry to get angry. It's probably an unusual feeling for her when someone doesn't acquiesce to her demands. Anyway, on to the next story. Our next story is by Smilebones. Won't let us merge? Okay, I'll call your company. Super short story that just happened. My girlfriend and I are driving out east on Long Island to go apple picking. We had to merge right to make a turn, and a large moving truck already in the lane would not let us in. We pulled ahead, signal on, and be turning in, and the truck would speed up to cut us off. Whatever, they're just jerks. The car behind them was kind enough to let us merge, and we get behind the moving truck. But we then see the driver, college-age kid, in the driver's side mirror pointing and laughing at us because he got one over on us by not letting us merge. Fine, if you're going to be petty, so can I. I called up the number on the side of the truck that informs the company of the unprofessional behavior of the drivers on the road, gave the location, license plate number. They were not happy to hear about their driver, said that they would speak to the driver and have cameras in the car and would be able to review and confirm. Pettiness begets pettiness. Yeah, I would say that it's probably not a good idea to drive like a jerk while you're driving a company vehicle, because one of the other drivers on the road might just report you to your boss and then you're gonna get in trouble. Anyway, on to our final story. Our final story is by Tyson Lemois. Bikers threaten a woman? My friend and I rode our bikes into town. There were only a few designated areas for bikes. A car was parked in the middle of a clearly marked bike bay. Only 2 spaces available. One of them at the back. We put our bikes in those 2 spaces. On the way to the stop, we spotted a traffic warden and told her about the car. She put a ticket on it. 10 minutes later, we return to our bikes and the driver is waiting by her car. She starts yelling at us about how petty we were for blocking her in. We ignore her, and I say to my friend, "I'm thirsty. I need a coffee." And we're talking. She starts ranting. Traffic warden number 2 writes her a ticket. We go for a coffee. 20 minutes later, again, we return to our bikes. By now, she's red in the face, angry, and she starts screaming in our faces about how she could just run over our bikes. My friend is only 5 foot 5 inches and starts talking to her calmly. That would be a mistake. If anything happens to our bikes, we would know it was you. You've already got 2 tickets. She cuts them off. She rang the police, claiming that 2 big bikers were threatening her, a lone female. The police arrive within minutes and in numbers. They separate us, hear our versions of the events, the truth. The police believe us, and one of the police officers spoke to us, but loud enough for her to hear. "You lads have had some stress. Don't want either of you riding your bikes. Go for a walk and grab a coffee." Meanwhile, another police officer is giving her another ticket. 40 minutes later, we return to our bikes just in time to see traffic warden number 2 issuing another ticket. No idea where she was. I only went to town to buy some paint, meant to be only 5 minutes. She ended up with 4 fixed penalty tickets. And this, friends, is how you handle somebody who's a jerk. Make them think about their actions and the consequences of those actions. Now, Karens are not known for being very smart, but maybe this time, this will make her think twice about doing this again. That's all the stories I have for today. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded new content. Head over to Reddit and drop a upvote for the OPs. Links to the original Reddit posts are in the description box below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.